Okay, now let's talk about who the next CCP leader might be. So who is replacing Xi? Not long ago, Xi Jinping traveled to Lhasa to attend the 60th anniversary of the founding of the autonomous region of Tibet. He stayed there less than 24 hours before rushing back to Beijing, leaving other officials behind. And the most eye-catching among them, the re-emergence of the discarded crown prince, Hu Chunhua. Yeah, so who's replacing Xi? Who is replacing Xi? Whose activities in Tibet suggest he may be on the verge of a comeback? Here's why. Now, instead of Xi Jinping himself, it was Hu Chunhua who inspected the infamous Yalun Zangbujiang, or the Yalun Zangpo River hydropower station, the most symbolic, politically weighty project in Tibet. This massive dam was Xi Jinping's personal pet project. Under normal circumstances, Xi Jinping would have toured it to showcase his own achievements or willpower. Even if his health prevented him from doing so, he should have sent a trusted loyalist, somebody like Wang Huning, or Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing, or another Vice Premier He Lifeng, just to make it clear that he was still in control, right? And all three men, Wang Huning, Zhang Guoqing, and He Lifeng, went with him to Tibet on the trip, but none of them were chosen. Instead, Hu Chunhua was put front and center. And that matters. In the CCP, whenever a leader visits a flagship national project, it signals direct political ownership. But Hu's official standing didn't qualify him to inspect this project. Yet he was dispatched, overstepping his boss, Wang Huning, shadowing the Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing, who is the official in charge of this project. So now think about it, Hu Chunhua, the man Xi Jinping once suppressed so hard, most fiercely, the same whose removal from the Politburo triggered Hu Jintao's dramatic removal or ejection from the party Congress in front of the world's media 2 years ago, was suddenly given the spotlight. That alone speaks volumes about Hu Chunhua's rising status. Adding to the intrigue, now Hu Chunhua's trip to Ningchi, which is the region where the dam is located. So his trip to this region almost exactly copied Xi Jinping's 2021 itinerary. He toured the hydropower project, he met villagers, he inspected the Sichuan-Tibet Railway, and walked through a park called Gongbu Park. That was like an identical itinerary. So was that accidental, or was it a deliberate symbolism? Even more telling, that very same day, People's Daily ran an editorial on the second page. This editorial has a very interesting line. What does it say? The opening line says this: 60 years of spring blossoms and autumn fruits. In Chinese, spring blossoms and autumn fruits is 春华秋实. Okay, so spring blossoms is 春华. That's exactly Hu Chunhua's name. And autumn fruits was the state media hinting Hu Chunhua will harvest political fruit this autumn at the 4th plenum? Nobody knows for sure. But the fact that the PLA Daily, the military's newspaper, official newspaper, also ran the same piece, now on its front page, well, that's no accident. You know, see, Chinese editors don't slip leaders' names into party editorials without direct instruction from the propaganda department. This was deliberate. An analogy would be, it's like when you use the expression, the Trump card, when discussing American politics, when discussing a trip that President Trump made recently, it's hard for people not to make reference to President Trump. And it doesn't stop there. After Tibet, Hu Chunhua traveled to Changchun, Jilin, where he opened the Northeast Asia Expo and delivered the keynote speech. Again, he broke precedent. Since 2014, every opening has been presided over by vice state-level leaders with real power. Now, Hu Chunhua holds only an honorary role because he's not a party leader. He's not even the top CPPCC vice chairman. CPPCC stands for Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. It's a mouthful to say, but it's supposedly an advisory board to the party. So he's not even the first vice chairman, he's just the second vice chairman. Yet he got the spotlight. This was his second record-breaking appearance in less than a month after Tibet. Then came the strangest line in the official report. And it says, before the opening ceremony, Hu Chunhua, accompanied by Huang Qiang, Hu Yuting, Zhu Guoxian, toured the expo pavilion and met with exhibitors. Now let me break down. There are three names you heard, Chinese names. Huang Qiang is the Jilin province provincial party secretary, the number one guy in the province. He's also the chairman of the Provincial People's Congress. So he holds two titles. Hu Yuting is the governor and deputy party secretary, number two. And Zhu Guoxian is chairman of the provincial CPPCC, number three guy. In other words, all the top provincial leaders, the heads of party, government, legislature, and CPPCC were on hand to accompany Hu Chunhua. That kind of treatment is only reserved for one person, for Xi Jinping, the top party leader. Now, remember, Hu Chunhua was Xi Jinping's sworn rival. It was widely believed that the only reason Xi Jinping didn't lock up Hu Chunhua, was purely due to Hu Jintao's protection. It was said that Hu Jintao did everything he could to protect the junior Hu. And now suddenly he's gone from political exile to VIP treatment. The contrast is shocking. In China's political world, local leaders are hypersensitive to who's rising and who's falling because their own future depends on picking the right side. So if Xi Jinping is in power, there's no way the top three provincial leaders would all come out to keep Hu Chunhua company. And now we get to the leaks. There's a political commentator, his name is Tang Jingyuan, and he said that according to his sources, not just one, two sources close to the top, and they've confirmed that Xi Jinping has already been stripped of power, and Hu Chunhua, together with Wang Yang, will take the reins in the post-Xi era. According to Mr. Tang, one source, someone with very close ties to a vice state level leader, in Chinese as 副国级, vice state level, that's just one level under Xi Jinping, right? They told him that Xi Jinping has already been stripped of power. He holds no authority. They're only waiting for the right moment to announce it. Whether Xi Jinping will be pushed into semi-retirement or completely ousted wasn't specified. But one thing was certain. Xi is sidelined. Right now, he's just an actor keeping up the facade of stability. A second insider backed it up. And according to that source, the succession has been basically settled. Here's the twist. Hu Chunhua and Wang Yang will take over. Within their circles, the consensus is that Hu will become the party's secretary, the secretary general of the party, while Wang Yang takes the premiership. Now, this is different from what we believed previously. It was believed that Wang Yang would lead the party and Hu Chunhua would be the premier because Hu Chunhua lacks the experience to take the top job because he's not even currently in the Politburo. But remember, I told you Wang has a condition. If he takes the top party role, he wants control of the military as well. And that complicates things because it's hard to imagine Zhang Youxia not staying at the top of the military. So maybe this Hu-Wang pairing is the compromise. Wang Yang is more willing to focus on resuscitating the economy, agrees to take the premiership. Hu Chunhua, weaker and without military command, becomes the party leader. So it balances everything. The leak said that this personnel change has already been communicated to the provincial leaders level. So that explains why the top three provincial leaders of Jilin all came out to keep Hu Chunhua company. Now, with all that said, the CCP's political future is riddled with uncontrollable variables. We still don't know what will happen. And one of the biggest variables is Xi Jinping's health. No one knows what could happen next. Even if Hu Chunhua and Wang Yang take over, they'll be feeling their way forward step by step. But their greatest challenge, in my opinion, isn't policy tweaks or token reforms. It's the regime itself. This anti-humanity's rotten system has already entered garbage time. Anyone with independent thought can see the writing on the wall. The real test to them is whether they have the courage to end it. To cling to the party and try to save it is self-destructive and doomed to fail. The best example is Xi Jinping himself. He is the perfect example to illustrate that point. When Xi Jinping came to power initially, he held a winning hand, a booming economy, broad public support, and a favorable international environment. Yet in his obsession with saving the party, he squandered every advantage until he ended up where he is today. Giving up the CCP may look like the hardest choice. In truth, it's the simplest solution to everything. I think it's the best solution. It's the easiest because it's what people want.